There's one part of Albania's Eurovision entry for this year that you've definitely heard, but you probably don't realize why it doesn't leave you alone. It's obvious, it's right there, but it's doing something that you probably haven't noticed, something that keeps pulling you back. This song's already on track to being my most played song on Spotify this year. I literally couldn't stop listening to it. So eventually, I had to dig, because something in it was messing with me, and I had to find out what. And I'm glad I did, because what I found out blew my mind. That's when I came across this interview from Wee Wee Blogs with Beatrice and Cole from Shkodra Elektronike. And what they said sent me into a full spiral of curiosity, emotional chaos, and that kind of obsession where you literally cannot stop thinking about it. Okay, emotional chaos might be a little bit much. I get it, but I stand by it. I was already obsessed with the song, but the thing that made it all click was one simple question.
You mentioned that the song had a little sadness in it. What is the song about, and what is that sadness?
All right, as dramatic as this sounds, this part of the interview still gets me all the time. I've watched this part a few times already because it opens up so much about what this song's doing.
The song, the part that I sing actually speaks about a minute, a perfect minute, without this messy world, you know? I imagined this minute, and I imagined all the people being kind to each other. I'm quite like this, you know? I'm always dreamy.
Beatrice talks about this minute, like this perfect moment. A perfect moment which is untouched by the mess of the world. She imagines people being kind to each other. No war, no orphans, no sickness. Just kindness, light, and freedom. And she says it herself. I'm quite like this, a dreamer.
I'm quite like this, you know, I'm always dreamy.
But then comes the plea. Aman miserere. These aren't just pretty words. Aman is borrowed from Turkish, sometimes used in Albanian, but from what I gathered is a plea, asking for mercy. It's pretty much a raw human cry, begging from the body. In contrast, or similarly in ways, with miserere, which is Latin also meaning please have mercy. However, we have the more spiritual side of it, so it's coming from a soul. In essence, this is pleading with everything you have, your body and your soul. Aman miserere. Pleading to be a part of this world that she imagines. But here's what gets me. Even with all the sadness, sickness, all of these terrible things that are happening in the world, she still hopes and believes that that minute that she holds within herself will happen, will go on. She sings about good people, nameless people, dancing the vaje, which is a traditional Albanian dance, coming together as community. All of this cultural imagery. And then comes her world. Her world that is going to shine, repeated like a heartbeat, hope which is refusing to fade. And this is where I get obsessed. This is where the interview quite literally gives me the shivers. Because what happens next is not just genius, but the reason why I still keep listening over and over again and didn't even realize before I knew why.
I'm quite like this, you know, I'm always dreamy, and where I send to call my part, he balanced this part with the reality, you know, because it's not so easy to reach this minute, you know, this perfect minute in this war.
Because the easiest things are the hardest things to achieve.
That's really
They are philosophic.
Absolutely, this is art.
This interview is very obviously about the lyrics, right? This is what people connect with in Eurovision mainly, the lyrics and the culture. So Cole's lyrics is in stark contrast to Beatrice's lyrics. It brings it back down to reality, saying, no, this is not how the world is. In your fantasy land, this is not what we're living. She imagines peace. He brings fire, the name of the piece of music. But not fire like light, not fire warm, but destruction. fire that swallows everything. It undoes what she says. Fire falls upon our tribal dancers. Fire takes our nameless and pure people. He's craving light. They're craving light. We're craving light. But all that's left is fire. Okay, maybe I'm sounding that a little bit dramatic, but stick with me. Because Beatrice said it herself.
I sent to call my part. He balanced this part with the reality.
He balanced this part, my part, with the reality. But even with Cole's verse tearing everything down, even with Zjerm echoing like a warning, I couldn't stop going back to what came before it, looping it over and over, because something happens in that moment. And as I was watching that interview, it hit me. It's not so easy to reach this perfect minute, Beatrice says. And I think you felt that feeling too. That feeling where something is building, stretching out, holds its breath, and just refuses to land. It lingers, it haunts. And once you notice it, you'll never hear the song in the same way again. That stunning, haunting string part between the chorus and Cole's verse. It lingers like the last breath of Beatrice's world. The echo of her cry that will continue to shine. That perfect minute that she imagines is that minute she will never reach. And this is the spell that this instrumental section casts on you. It's simple, but it's haunting. And let me explain. You don't need any music theory. You don't need to understand any music theory to get this, I promise. The song is in the key of C minor. And in Western music, we build melodies often around scales, which is a series of notes where one note in particular feels more like home. In this case, that note is C. If you ever learned an instrument as a kid, you probably remember practicing scales endlessly, not seeing a point behind them, and it being extremely frustrating, hating every second of it. But they were meant to teach us how pitch works, especially within our Western pitch system, how pitches move from one to the next, how tension is created, then released when we finally land back onto our home note. A typical scale goes up step by step and ends one octave higher back onto that home note. And when you finally land there, it feels finished, satisfying, resolved. When playing a scale, when singing a melody, and when playing a melody, especially as a musician, reaching that final note is easy. It's almost mechanical. In music, it's one of the simplest things we can do if we understand a little bit and have learnt a little bit of it. Just play the notes one by one and land on your final note. And after Beatrice tells us that her world is going to keep shining, we hear her words echo like a mantra. And then the strings begin. A melody climbs slowly, carefully. It starts on C, exactly where it should. In this case, representing the world of the reality. The perfect world, that minute that we're looking for, is at the top. It's that final note of the scale. It's what we're reaching for. And in a perfect world, we're going to reach that. It would land on the C, one octave above, and it would bring everything to rest. This melody, however, never makes it. And that's where Shkodra Elektronike says exactly what Beatrice and Cole said in that interview. It's not so easy to reach that perfect minute. Sometimes the easiest things are the hardest things to achieve. And that's why this section is so addictive. We're given a section which feels like a scale. It starts, it climbs, it promises resolution, but it never gets there. It avoids that final note that we need. It denies us the thing that should be the easiest, just landing on the note. Instead, it drops us straight into a dark, menacing synth hit on a low C. as if it drags us right down back to reality. And yes, it does feel resolved, because it does actually resolve harmonically. But that resolution is not in the way that we were hoping for. It's not uplifting. It's not that kind of resolution which feels earned or final in a positive way. It's heavy. It's cold, like the door closing in on a dream. And that's when Cole delivers the truth that we didn't want to hear. This unresolved string melody keeps pulling us back, because deep down, we all want that perfect minute. We want peace. We want closure. We want to believe that this time, maybe, just maybe, we'll finally land on that last note where we want to be. But we don't. Not at the beginning. Not at the end. Never gets there. And that's what keeps me stuck in this loop. I keep listening again and again, chasing the resolution that I know won't come, hoping that this time it will, even though I know it won't, especially because it won't. I've had this song on repeat, and clearly it's not because it's satisfying. It's because it isn't. But maybe if I just listen to it one more time.